everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. You are with us on our premiere show, Season 5, On the Trail in Search of Living Legends. We're here tonight with my partner, Mr. Nick Valenti, and a very special guest. Nick, how's it going, brother?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about you?
Yes, couldn't be better. Couldn't be better. Excited for the show.
Oh, yeah. Tell them about our special guest.
Yeah, we got Mr. Joedy Cook with us, founder of the North Americn Dogman Project. Joedy, thanks for joining us. It's an honor.
How you doing?
Otherwise,
good.
Otherwise, good. Loss to me anyway.
You're right. I didn't know whether to say it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for joining us. It's an honor. Like I said, you're our premiere for the season. So, yeah, I'm sure we'll have a good time.
So everybody knows.
Yeah, sorry for the brightness in here. I painted. I'm redoing my office and it's repainted, and the light makes it, all white and shiny.
Right. So Nick, do you want to lead off, or?
Oh yeah, I just want to reiterate, let everybody know, this is the boss. This is Joedy Cook, the founder of the North Americn Dogman Project, and I'm glad to have you on, boss. And I just wanted to go into some stuff that I've never seen anybody go in with you. Let's back it all the way up. What did you start off in the paranormal, cryptozoology, and all that stuff? When and what did you start off in?
I was always interested in, cryptozoology and UFOs and things like that for all my life. I started off as a UFO investigator for quite a few years. And I know I mentioned this a couple of times on some shows. This is like long before cable TV ever came out. You have public asset TV. Okay. Right. And we did a live UFO show the first Wednesday of every month. It ran for about 10 years and stuff. It was great because I was in the reserves at the time, so I was able to, to do this full time. And we started to get a lot of reports coming in of cryptids and Bigfoot and other things like that. So myself and George Clapperson decided, let's go look into this stuff. And that's how I kind of got into the cryptid stuff. I'm always still loving, the UFO stuff, but the cryptid stuff was just a new feel for me. I mean, I always loved Bigfoot stuff, but I just kind of stayed with it and got into it. And I just stayed in it, for years.
How long now have you been doing all this? I mean, everything combined.
Everything combined, about 32 years.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow. Long time research out there. And
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you were with MUFON?
It's a long time,
Were you with MUFON for that while when you were doing the UFO?
No, MUFON was a real big organization. That's where everybody was with. But now you understand, like in the 80s, MUFON was the only UFO organization. Mm-hmm. And there was a lot of smaller other organizations where people really didn't want to get involved with MUFON because there was a lot of political stuff that was going on, where MUFON really at the time did not want to deal with smaller organizations because they felt that they were the best and things. So a lot of people kind of stayed away from MUFON, that in the field and just did independent stuff. And actually the guys, the people that I knew who had no association with MUFON was actually coming up with some really, really good stuff. So we had our own organization. It was called ASK, which was Associate for Scientific Knowledge. And, it was a great organization. But sadly, there's only 2 of us out of the whole organization that's still alive. Because, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything, but it's just odd that everybody in the whole organization, they've all died of cancer. And people who have cancer could tell you, you have cancer for a while. People don't die within a week of being diagnosed with cancer. Yeah. And some of these guys really got dove into some really heavy stuff. I know that, you know, I would get calls from these guys saying, look, there's people standing outside my house in black cars. You know, I'm terrified. Can you come over and, you know, sit with me? You know, we would go over there and they would end up leaving. They would leave somewhere and their house would have been, you know, ransacked looking for stuff. No money, no jewelry, nothing taken out, you know. And one of our researchers actually, he set jewelry and money on the dining room table when he left. And he came back and his place was ransacked, but the money and the jewelry was still laying on the table. So they were looking for something other than, you know, the money and stuff. So that was kind of odd stuff because we got a lot of people in a lot of high places that were calling in on the show, you know, that we were doing. And, you know, that was the first taste of reality on how serious the field is, you know, when it comes to ufology or cryptozoology or something like that, that there's always somebody out there that does not want people to know the truth.
Yeah.
Right.
You've had the MIB experience yourself too, right? At times.
In the cryptid field, I did, you know, never in the, you know, the Bigfoot field. Well, here, the UFO field, Bigfoot field, I can say yes, one occasion there. I had a dispute with the phone company one time, and I refused to pay my phone bill because I knew I was right. Okay, you know, I didn't. I had a long distance package on my phone. Okay, so where I would get long distance free, it was one of these packages. So I ended up getting charged for long distance calls. I made a long distance call, so that's why I got this package. So I got into a fight with the phone company. I refused to pay it because I knew I was right. And they cut my phone off. So I'm like, you know, I'm sticking to this. My phone rang in the middle of the night, and this guy calls me because at the time I was writing the FBI under the Freedom of Information Act on, you know, Bigfoot and some other stuff. And this guy, you know, I was on the other end of the phone, and you know, sat and told me, "Oh, I understand that you're putting a Freedom of Information Act in with the FBI, and I'm going to tell you how to do it. And this is how you do it so you get what you want." And so I went ahead and wrote down the stuff this guy was telling me. And the funny thing about it, his name was Gary Hart. Okay. And at the time, there was a senator named Gary Hart that was running for president. You know, I'm like, this is the guy that's calling me, right? The one that was in this big love scandal and stuff and was running for president of the United States and things. And but it wasn't him. It was, you know, it was somebody else with the name Gary Hart. And the guy was like really interesting. He was telling me exactly how to do it, how to deal with the FBI on this. And then that was it. And then my phone was still cut off.
Wow.
You know,
Funny,
so I'm like, you know, what's that?
It got through to you and your phone was dead.
Yeah, my phone was dead. And I had, you know, my first wife at the time, you know, she would back that up. I mean, I'm like, you know, she's like, you know, you pay the freaking bill, you know, pay the bill. Don't pay the bill. And I'm like, no, I'm right on this, you know, but I ended up paying the bill. So, yeah, that was a strange thing. And the thing of it is, I was really good friends with Linda Moulton Howe at the time. We were doing a lot of correspondence, and actually at the time she was talking on our Bell show, telling some of the stuff that I was information I was giving her. And I talked to her about that. I told her about that, you know, and she goes, you know, that's not surprising. I've talked to people where that same thing has actually happened, where somebody would call and say, this is how you deal with the federal government. You know, when
wow.
it comes to, and it was really neat. And the thing about it, when I wrote the FBI and I got the Freedom of Information Act from them, they were really good about it. You know, I all they, you know, like the name they give you on the thing, their you know, oral report when you get it back, they have a contact information, and you know, these people are like really friendly, everything, which I thought was extremely surprising. at the time. So that was my very first, I can't say it was an encounter, but it was something that was very interesting that, somebody had the power where they were able to turn my phone on long enough to give me a phone call.
That's something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is something.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of crazy things happen, since we did like the LPL documentary. There was so much stuff that was going on, crazy things. Like I told you, both of my car registrations were erased from the DMV.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, both of them. And it was funny, because my wife gets a ticket, comes home and says, I got a ticket for $130 because the car there was no registration in the DMV for the car. So the state police gave me a $130 ticket. I'm like, are you kidding me? And I said, we'll go ahead. This was like on a Friday. And I said, we'll go ahead and handle this, Monday at the DMV. And on my way to the DMV, I get pulled over by the state police. Same thing happens. And then I get a $130 ticket. I'm like, man, something's not right here. I mean, I pulled out registration in my car showing that I got, my tag for my vehicle. I said, here it is right here. Okay. I went on to my bank app and went, put in the date and everything, and it came up and I showed where I paid right there, for it. I had proof. And the guy's like, there's nothing I can do about it. If it's not there, it's not there. So we went to the DMV, and the girl was looking at it, and the very first thing she said to me is, who did you piss off? And that was her first thing, because she said, this doesn't happen. This does not happen unless you piss somebody off. And they had the power to sit there and do this. So I had to end up, I went to court, fight the tickets, and, the registration, both vehicles, bank statements showing that they were paid. The court did throw them out because I did have stuff. I did get a letter from the DMV stating that, there's nothing in there. But that was crazy. That was absolutely crazy, because we mailed off with tracking number 25 copies of that DVD. 25 copies. And all of them went to the city they were supposed to go to, and not one was ever delivered to the people that got them. So that was, and we had to reimburse people on that. Okay. But that was just to show that was a financial attack on us. That's the way I looked at it. And, the post office was not very cooperative on, saying that, well, they might have been delivered to someone else's house by accident or something like that. And it's like, you have 25 of them. I mean, you have 25 of them just sent out together. Okay. And not one makes it. I can see if one or two didn't make it to someone, but when you have all 25 of them, till this day, they've never been sent to those people. To this day, you have no idea where they are.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty bizarre.
Yeah. And and as far as a actual Men in Black, I can't say Men in Black, but I actually had two guys from the NSA do one of my lectures. Like I said, I got my wife, I got both my brothers, I have everybody there. These guys were NSA, and I mean, they were real good about it. They came up, introduced who they were, said we're going to sit in the back. They sat in the back. They were writing notes as I was sitting there doing my lecture. Came up afterwards and said it was a good lecture. I said, I was jokingly saying that, well, if you need anything, I can get anything to you. One here, like, no, we have everything already. We collect data. That's what we do. And he was kind of laughing about it a little bit. And he said, don't be surprised if a government agency comes to you and asks you a question off the subject. Now, here's the thing about this. Now, the thing about this NSA, okay, NSA is a data collecting agency. They're not like the CIA. They're not like the FBI, where they have field agents that do this kind of stuff. So I was actually talking with a guy who was a federal agent for a different department, and he was telling me, because look, this is how they do it. Every agency basically has the same badge, and they can get any credentials they want from any other agency to throw you off. They can get IRS stuff, they can get NSA stuff, they can get CIA stuff, they can get Homeland Security, whatever. Okay. And they said that's how they do it. So it doesn't trace them back to their department that they're really at. So you're actually doing a running around. So if they come, it's like these guys come and say they were from the NSA. Well, they may have not been from the NSA. They could have been, from Homeland Security or, whatever. But just to try to throw me off. So I'm looking in the NSA trying to find out who these guys are, and they're actually with some other agency. And I had the guy sit and tell me that, so he said, you'll never find out.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if the pair of U.S. Marshals want to get FBI credentials, they can do it. Just for an example.
Yeah, for an example. I can't say the U.S. Marshals, because U.S. Marshals actually are more of a, I think the right word.
They're the law
enforcement
of the federal government. Really.
What?
They're the law enforcement.
They're law enforcement, but they're more professional than that. They would not stoop. I don't think the federal marshals would stoop down to do something like that. Okay, they'll come directly to you as who they are. Now, when you're dealing with the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, Homeland Security, that's a whole different situation. The thing of it is, my whole thing on this is what is the problem? Okay, it's not a national security problem. Okay, we know that UFOs is a national security problem. Okay, because it would involve the military and the protection of the country and so forth. This is not a national security issue, but it is an issue when it comes to the safety of people and property. Okay, the thing about Americans, okay, is if there's a monster that's roaming the woods, what are they going to do? You're going to all get together and you're going to go into a party and you're going to go out and kill these things. Okay, we've been doing it since the 1930s when War of the Worlds was on the radio. That is how we are as a people, and they know that, and they know someone's going to end up getting hurt. But the point of it is, and this is my opinion, I don't think Dogman or any of these other cryptids have any connection to, secret black projects, biological weapons and stuff like that. I think that's fantasy world. I'm honest. That's fantasy world. Where people come up, I'm so-and-so, and I worked at a secret facility and we had a zoo there and these things. I mean, that's horseshit. I'm sorry. I'll dispute anybody on that. Okay. Now, granted, the government probably does have, secret facilities where they are testing and creating biological entities for other purposes, but they're just not going to let them go out and take human life where it's automatically going to come back to them. It doesn't. I can't see this. So there's got to be a connection to why these things are out there. And my theory is why the government involvement is, what's the possibility? Let's say the possibility of the inner Earth theory exists, and that these creatures are actually creatures from the inner Earth, okay, or something dimensional actually is there, and these things are coming in from a different dimension, but they also could be a flesh and blood animal that's always been here. It's just we never knew about it because their numbers were small, and now they're becoming a populated, group of entities. So you have to sit there and wonder why what is the government interest in this? Other than something like that, or that they can weaponize it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, perfect example. Okay. Everybody knows the story of The Exorcist. Okay. At Scott Air Force Base, they have every single piece of furniture, including the bed, in a storage facility at Scott Air Force Base.
Oh, wow.
Why would they have that other than try to weaponize it?
Exactly.
Okay. So if they can catch these things and probably try to control them and use it as some type of weapon in a combat situation, I can see that happening. And yeah, that would be, excuse me, some type of national security secret to keep these things from being known to the people, or they could have some type of extraterrestrial connection. We just don't know, you know. And the thing of it is, they want us to do this. They want us to sit there and come up with these conspiracy theories on why these things are out there. But yet, at the same time, they're monitoring us in the field to see what we have, find out the locations that we get stuff in, and, you know, use that data so they don't have to sit there and do it themselves. You know, we've had our internet provider contacted us and asked us if we were doing something illegal. And it's like, what do you mean? Are we doing something illegal? Because you have a lot of 3-letter alphabet agencies monitoring your site on an everyday basis.
Wow.
You have foreign governments monitoring your site, you know, and why are they doing this? And it's like, because it's an interest, you know. Are they, you know, are they actually monitoring our site, or if some employee is on his lunch break on a government computer, you know, from, you know, the FBI or CIA, and he's just doing a Google search on werewolves because he saw a movie or something like that, and our site comes up and he's looking at it. You know, that's the biggest possibility of why they're monitoring their sites. But when you have foreign countries monitoring it, you know, we've had the Defense Department of Canada, Australia, the UK, India, China, and I'm trying to think what was the other, Belarus, I think was the other one. Their Department of Defense on their end were the ones monitoring our website. And when, you know, they said, I'm going to be honest with you, you're going to laugh about these, but, you know, you're getting more traffic than most porn sites get.
Sure.
Yeah. You know, and I mean, that's good. But, you know, when, you know, a red flag pops up, you know, on their end, because all these government agencies, because we get a report each month that tells us, I mean, it doesn't say like, you know, you with your IP address on your computer, you know, is watching our website, nothing like that. But when it comes to like, you know, corporations, government agencies and things like that, it picks it up. And we get a report each month that tells us who is, you know, who's been on our site, what country, things like that. And it tells us, you know, in a 30-day period, how many times they were on our site. So we get that from them, from our provider, you know, so we can follow up on what's going on. And I mean, it's an everyday thing. I mean, we've had the Department of Defense on the U.S. side, Department of Defense, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, their departments. We have had all of the 3 alphabet agencies on our site. We've had Department of Agriculture, which is Department of Forestry. You know, they've been on our site. Most of the government, Department of Natural Resources for states have been on our site, you know, looking. So we've had a lot of traffic. So somebody is interested in the data that we're putting out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I was talking with yeah, it's like the lady that runs Cloak Hedgehog. You know, she lives in Switzerland, and I talked to her, and she says the same thing. You know, there's government agencies, you know, that are monitoring her site on her data. that she's putting out, but she has never had the situation where someone has showed up at her door or something has happened, something crazy with her. It's just you're monitoring her site. With us, we've had people. We actually had a guy. One of our researchers was following up in Wisconsin on a investigation, and he goes out to the field. He comes out there and he says, "There's a truck sitting out there, a pickup truck, and two guys hanging outside it." And he was getting his gear and stuff ready to go out. They called him by name and asked him what he was doing there with the North American Dogman Project. And that scared the hell out of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even LBL has got a thing with their rangers down there that they're to escort anybody from the North American Dogman Project off of LBL at any time that they're there. And
oh, wow.
Oh, they even told us that, we're not welcome on their property. And it's like, it's a state park. You can't tell us we can't be here. We didn't do anything wrong. But yeah.
That tells you something right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's something, I don't know. It's just, there's just something to this. You take LBL, right? LBL gets so asinine about what's going on with the creature there. Okay, they don't like people coming down filming. They don't like to talk about it. And like I told the one ranger I was talking to that was telling me what was going on, I said, and I told him, I said, you know what, you want this crap to end? Let me tell you how to do it. Monetize it. The minute you monetize it, the minute you start selling little stuff, werewolves in your shops, T-shirts, you do storytelling, about the beast of land between the legs. The minute you monetize it, no one's going to be interested in it because now you're making money off of it.
Right.
And they haven't to this day.
No.
So,
I was there with DA. We went to the Welcome Center. Jody, they ignored us. I asked.
Oh yeah.
DA asked a couple people in the Welcome Center.
Yeah.
They walked away from us.
Yeah.
There are no wolf statues there, or Dogman statues, or Sasqutch. Nothing is over there.
Right. And that's why I said, if you want to get rid of it, monetize it.
You know what?
Monetize it.
In Tennessee, LBL, they'll talk about it. In Kentucky, they will not talk.
They won't.
Nobody in Kentucky wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
Why is that? As far as the difference between the Kentucky side and the Tennessee side, is it what they're seeing on each side? Like, why? I know one side has more Bigfoot activity, correct, and the other side has more Dogman activity, right?
There's a road, I think it's 22 or 27, I can't remember, that splits LBL in half.
Yeah.
And the southern part of it is where all the Bigfoot activity is, and on the north of it, that's where all the Dogman activity is. But you'll see activity, a little bit of activity on both sides. Okay, right. But the majority is, is broken up to the north and to the south.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So just to keep the chronology right here, you went from investigating UFOs and then into like Sasqutch, Bigfoot investigations?
Yeah.
And then from there you went to Dogman. Now, how did you make the leap? What started you on that?
Well, the Bigfoot field is really got so political. I mean, so political. It's crazy. I mean, look at it now. Look at all the conferences. It's always the same people that's speaking at the conference year after year. And there's like in Ohio, they have the Ohio Bigfoot conference. And I was literally one of the top Bigfoot researchers in Ohio. Okay, I'm the one, I have proof of this. I was the researcher that brought the name Grassman to life in Ohio. I was the first one to use it in a book, first one to use it on TV. And I remember people laughing and joke at me because of the name Grassman. Now Grassman's all over the freaking place. Okay, all over. And the thing of it is that it came into a competition with Don Keating, came into a competition with I can't think of the guy that runs it now. Mark DeWitt, I think was named. Right. And I think he's a BFRO member and stuff. And it's just a jealousy thing. It's just nuts. And I just got tired of them. They would rather have someone from another state come in than have someone from that state talk about Bigfoot, because you have an issue with them because this individual is getting a little bit more being recognized more than you are. Yeah. And that was the problem. I just got tired of it. I got tired of going to a conference and seeing people talk, and then going to another conference and seeing the same people that was at the last conference talk about the same stuff they talked about at the last conference. Mm-hmm. That's how the field, it became a clique. It became a clique. Same thing like with Crypticon was this weekend. Okay, same thing. It's the same people year after year after year. His friends talking at Crypticon year after year after year. And why not have other people, come in? I'm not saying me, I can care less, but there's so many other people out there that's got really good stuff that they could be talking about. And it's all jealousy, and you're not part of the clique. And that's why I left, and here in the Dogman field, I've been getting Dogman Rsarcher reports when I was doing research with Bigfoot, and I found it kind of interesting. I just wasn't getting a lot. I just I wanted to get away from that. I said, this Dogman stuff this werewolf stuff is really interesting. There's something to it. And I went and I just stayed in it. I loved it. The people in the field are great people. You have a couple people that you have issues with, but everybody in the field is absolutely great people. It's a family. You don't have too much BS that you have to deal with in the field. Just a very small thing, and if you do, it's because it's somebody that's outside of the field that's creating the problem.
All right. Well, yeah, you're right. I'm starting to notice that. It's big time. As far as you were just explaining the difference between the fields, I've been really noticing in the last few years. Mm-hmm. I've been strictly Bigfoot researcher, but for the last couple of years, I've been trying, kind of making the transition over to Dogman as well, because it's just, you don't have the politics you were saying the Dogman field as you do the Sasqutch field.
Oh yeah,
you're
absolutely right. I did some paranormal stuff for a few years, because in cryptozoology, especially in the Bigfoot field, there's a lot of dead time, Mm-hmm. So I was working with the local paranormal group here, and I really had fun doing that. But, it goes to the same thing. It's just as political, man. in that field, I'm like, there's no reason for, you have political issues. Everybody's doing the same thing.
Right.
You're all, but it's all comes down to who gets the best audio, who gets the best video, who gets the best information, and that's always there. In any of the fields, people think that you're going to get rich, getting stuff, and you're not, because anything can be faked to make look so real. And that's where the problem is. That's why you'll never be rich off of this. Never get rich.
You're in the,
that's the truth.
People that think they're going to get rich, they're in the wrong field.
Yeah. Yeah.
I spent thousands of my own dollars in cryptozoology. And I'll tell you, a lot of people try to fake it out there. Every week, I interview people on the phone or by messenger or email. Everybody's telling a story out there. In fact, Jody, Jay and I both had a fellow, what was it, a week ago, calling us.
About a week ago.
Telling us about these dogmen that were 8'5" and they were roaming in packs of 50 and 60, running around on this airport. And I picked up on it right away. The guy was just BSing.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys that want to get his 15 minutes of fame. And we didn't believe him. And I didn't believe him for a minute. I mean, some of the information he was giving, I've been doing this for quite a while now. And I'm listening to this guy. And it's like, where are you coming from? And no such thing. No such animal. I'm glad, Jay, we didn't have him on, because that would have just made cryptozoology look worse.
Well, you know, it's like, you know, there's a certain Dogman podcast out there that, you know, just has people on and they don't do any type of background check on these people. You know, there was one that they did, and this guy was talking about how he was a Marine Corps Raider and worked for the CIA, and they were training dogmen, and they had, you know, little chips in their head, you know, kind of like the island of Dr. Monroe, you know, and they were figuring out how to get the chip out of their head. And, you know, we could control them, and, you know, just a whole bunch of crazy stuff. And the guy actually was telling where he lived. Okay, on air. So he gave the road he lived on, okay, and he gave the area and everything. And it's like, you know, we know where this area is. We know where this street is. So we went out there to interview him. You know, we contacted the guy who did the radio show and said, listen, we're going out to talk to this guy. This guy's full of crap. He is full of crap. And we're going to call him on it. So we get down there. Now, he lived in an area where there was just, you go down this road and there's just 4 houses, his and 3 neighbors, okay? And we're knocking on his door. He doesn't answer. We leave a note there saying, hey, this is who we are, you know, North American Dogman Project. Please contact. We want to talk to you. So we saw the neighbors outside. So we're talking to the neighbors. And we're like, man, this guy's a freaking nut. He's a nutcase. He would get mad at us because we didn't see this werewolf that's supposedly standing there. And we're and like all the neighbors came out, right? And we're all standing there talking to all the neighbors, and like, we're moving. We're afraid this guy's going to come into our house and kill us in the middle of the night. We found out that he was under investigation with the ATF for making illegal weapons. Just a whole lot of crazy stuff. I mean, this guy was just literally a loose cannon, you know, you're going to hear about on the news. And like I said, the neighbors were all selling their homes. They were moving away because they were absolutely afraid of this guy. Absolutely. Because he would come into their home in the middle of the night saying, man, there's a werewolf out here. Be careful. And he would go from house to house, you know, just crazy stuff. And he's been on this show twice. And we're trying to say, this guy's a liar. This guy, and then he gets back with us, not the guy, but the radio host gets back with us and threaten us for going after one of his clients. And it's like, dude, the guy's a liar. Here's the information we found about him. You're making yourself look bad by having him on.
Yeah.
And then he had him on again.
Oh man.
You know, and this guy's one of the most well-known Dogman radio podcasts that's out there. I'm like, you're nuts, dude. This guy, you're going to hear about him on, you know, the nightly news because he massacred his neighbors. Or he had a standoff with the ATF or some crazy thing. And that's the problem. You know, all these stories are just, you know, I mean, we get them. We get some of the craziest stories, and you know, there's just bull crap. You know, But when you have people that say, listen, I'm going to show you who I am. Okay, these are my credentials. You know, I served so much time in the military. Here's a copy of my DD-214 or my DD-215. Here is, you know, my decorations and awards and stuff. And this is what I did. And I'm going to tell you something that you might think is crazy, but it happened. I mean, in those situations, you know, fiction is more crazier than life itself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Crazy stuff does happen. But when you have guys like you talking about some guy having 50 dogmen chasing them around 8 foot tall, and I mean,
Yeah.
you know, that's just horse
Yeah. And 12 feet. Some of them were, Nick, if I remember correctly.
What's that?
I think he's telling Nick and I, some of them are what, 12 feet, he said, Nick? Something like that?
Yeah, he had one that was 12 feet tall, he was saying.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Where was he from?
Yeah.
California.
Jeez.
I mean, and he said they were running in packs of 50 and 60. And I'm like, no, I don't think so.
No. There is no proof of any dogmen. I mean, I've had one report of 5, and I know there's some couple other reports out there, maybe 3 or 4, but really nothing over 5 that I've ever heard anything.
Yeah. Well, Jody, what we did was Jeremiah did it also. I tape recorded them, and at work we have different types of analyzers for, you know, truth lie detectors and such. We had some voice analyzers, so I ran it through the voice analyzer, and the technician showed me like a couple dozen different points where the guy was bullshitting.
Oh yeah,
I already recognize it. Now I'm getting it proved on a machine, so I'm like almost 99% sure. Jeremiah taped him too, and he was listening to it, and same thing.
Oh, we had one guy contact us, and he goes, I go through Silver Creek Park. Okay, up there in Norton. And he goes, I cut through there to go home, you know, and I going down the road, coming around a bend, and I see these 2 large wolves, about 7 feet tall, mating on the side of the road. He goes, I'm slowing down looking at these things. He goes, I didn't know. He goes, I don't know what they were, you know. And he says, as I was coming down, they kind of like stopped, and they're standing there on 2 legs, looking at me as I'm driving by. You know, he goes, I don't believe in monsters. You know, he says, I saw these things. I went home and Googled what it was. I found you guys, and I'm not out to gain anything, you know, but I just want to tell you, this is what I saw. Am I crazy? You know, and stuff. I mean, you get stuff like that, you know. It's just it's weird, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You get them, man. Sure. You get them coming in. You know, everybody gets them. You know, everybody in the field gets these crazy stories. Excuse me, which very well some of them may be true. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Jody, tell us on what date you started the North American Dogman Project. How did you come up with that name, and like?
Well, you know,
how did you do it? What happened?
I started back in 2006. Okay, I was just doing the research on my own. Okay, and I remember one day I posted up on Facebook, coming soon, the North American Dogman Project. I made this little Native American wolf head, and you know, said North American Dogman Project, and that was it. That was like it. Not until about 2015, 2016 is actually when I went online. You know, because I felt I wanted, before I went online, I want to have a whole lot of information on there. So as soon as the website's up, there's a lot of stuff there that people can look at. And then Dave Jones came in. I knew him from some paranormal stuff. We were doing a lot of, research, and we had a couple other people that were coming in doing a lot of research, and we were just collecting stuff and just putting it in a data file. And we said, let's get a website going, because I was really at the point, I was like, there was really no dogman organizations out there. There was a lot of dogman radio, type shows. And I was kind of scared to actually do it, because I felt that, you're going to get all these people that's going to make fun of it, or, something crazy. And so I said, to heck with it. We went ahead and got a site. We made it look really beautiful. We went online, and people were loving it. People fell in love with it. And we're, getting people saying, hey, I'm from, Kentucky, I'm from, New Jersey or something like that. We got stuff here. I'd like to, join your group. And it's like, hey, okay, well, how would you like to be a representative for your state? And that's how we did it. And we just, since 2016, we grew, and then we started getting stuff from overseas and things, like people wanted to join. And, we have 800 members right now. We have everybody in every single state. We even have people, we have a chapter in Hawaii, even though there's nothing there in Hawaii, but there's a chapter of military wives that have a chapter there in Hawaii that loves the subject.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Like my region 3 that I'm the director of, I've got 6,300 members alone. And I've got people from Australia, New Zealand, Indonesia, Germany, Great Britain. I mean, all over the world have joined up, just my region alone.
Right.
And the other 4 regions. And
we have, with all the, I figured it out, with all the regions together, we have about 9,000 members.
Wow. That's impressive.
You include the international one that I started, the one based out of got well over 10,500. Easy. Well over 10,500 people. Because they're all over the world. I mean, I've got John, boots on the ground in Australia. He reports to me every month something that goes on, and we'll post his videos that he's taken with his drones. He's the guy that was fishing. He was in a canoe which and he had a motor attached to it. And a dog man jumped in and started swimming towards him. He saw this wolf coming right at him.
Oh yeah.
No, good God.
He's like, I can't believe this thing can swim that fast. So we've got people all over the world. But how did you come up with North American Dogman Project?
Well, I was thinking Dogman Project, the Dogman Project, or just plain Dogman Project. And I was thinking, well, I did not see anything expanding outside the United States.
Right.
I was thinking maybe United States and Canada, and that's why I came up with the North American Dogman Project. So I left it at that. And then we had all these different groups from New Zealand, Australia, the UK, and stuff. And I made the logos for them, kind of kept it really close to the North American Dogman Project. Right. But it would be, like the Australian Dogman Project or the New Zealand Dogman Project. To that, I made the really beautiful logos for them. And I'm just surprised how well this is moved forward. I didn't expect it, to be this large. I mean, we're on the very first page of Google. We were never on the first page of Google. Right now, we're on the first page of Google. We've had quite a few magazines write about us. And I talked to you, I said, there's a really big magazine that's been in existence 80 years, maybe longer.
Yeah, one big one.
Yeah, one of the biggest ones out there is actually going to be doing an article about us. And I'm like, man, if we got, the way I look at it, if we made it in that magazine that's coming out, or that's doing the article, and that magazine is so respected by people in the scientific field, you know, it's going to look really good on us. You know, then we're going to start getting a lot more recognition, you know, hopefully within the scientific world. We'll probably get a lot more notified by the government, you know, because this magazine's printed up in every single language and is printed in every single country in the world, you know. So it's going to be a really interesting article when it comes out. And there's another really big project that the organization was asked to help on. I can't go into a whole lot of information. It's not a TV show or anything like that. It's a movie, you know. Mm-hmm. And they asked us for information. And the movie's about Dogman, and asked us about, you know, either they're going to use our logos and our name with actors playing our organization, or our organization members are going to be in there. Okay. Right now we're still kind of talking about how that's going to be. But I set grounds with them. I'm like, you know, I don't want none of my members killed by this thing. If it's going to be a slasher type thing, you know, I want to make sure that my organization is seen as a respectable organization in the movie. And it's like, yeah, you know, you'll get all that. So you're basically going to be the knowledge part of the movie, where they're trying to find out what this thing is and how to deal with it. And your organization is going to be the organization they. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Hey, Joedy, do you have any personal experiences?
Yeah, I saw Bigfoot when I was in the Army back in 93 or 94. I can't remember the exact year. It was 93 or 94. I had 3 other guys with me, and we were trying to get from point A to point B. It was on a Friday. We had to get the ammunition because we were instructors on a 50 caliber range, and we had all the ammunition, and we had to get the ammunition back to the ASP before they closed. Otherwise, we got stuck with it until Monday morning. And we kind of went off road to get to where we needed to go, and the tree line was like getting really thick. And like you said, basically we were just trying to cut through the woods to get to, you know, the next road, cut off, you know, a couple miles. And like I said, the tree line was getting really thick, and it got to the point we just couldn't get. We were in one of the old Blazers at the time, and you still call it a Jeep, because we weren't getting Humvees yet. You know, the Humvee was something kind of new, and with the regular Army special units and stuff like that were the ones using them. And the tree line was getting thick, so I was sitting in the front seat. We had a driver and 2 guys in the back, and put the vehicle in reverse and backed up real slow. And as he was doing that, it moved, and we thought, well, man, there's a tree getting ready to fall on us. I mean, this thing, from where we were at the time, he was probably 2 or 3 feet in front of us, and we did not see him. I mean, he blended into the environment because he was next to a tree, and his color was almost, you know, the color of the tree, you know, the bark and stuff. And as we backed up, that's when he moved. And he was literally 12 to 15 feet in front of us. I mean, when we stopped, he walked, it was almost like a glide, the way he moved, looking at us the whole time. Okay. I looked at him. I literally looked at him in his eyes. Okay. They were like a blackish red color. There was no white whatsoever. It was just, just blackish red. Very human face, a flat nose, massive jaw, satchel crest, muscle body, long arms, long legs, very well cut body. I mean, he was like a bodybuilder. I mean, the muscle, you saw the V and the shoulder for the muscles, the biceps. I mean, everything. This thing was massive. But he was an older male because the chest, his shoulders, and his back, like the back of his head, you can see it was kind of like a mange probably, but you can see the skin looked scaly. Now his skin color was like a real light mocha is the best way to say it. Real light mocha color. His hair was almost like a reddish brown, depending on when he was moving, how the light was hitting it, but like I said, it's just massive body. And he just looked at us as he moved. And for that particular base I was on, it was not uncommon to have a Bigfoot sighting on that base. Because I remember years prior going there and going out to the training area and seeing the footsteps on the dirt roads and stuff. I was on guard duty one night. That was before my sighting, and I heard grunting. Something was coming because you had a road that came in, and the road went to a Y. Okay, so we had a defensive area set up. Okay, that was in the ground with dirt, bags and everything. So if a vehicle came, you were low, they didn't see you until they came up on you, and you kind of had to get out, check ID and all that stuff. And we were on a field training exercise, and I remember hearing this thing grunt, like moving back and forth out in front of me. I couldn't see anything, but we had bears there, and so I didn't know if it was the actual bear or if it was this Bigfoot, but it was just making this really odd sound, like this grunting sound. Bears make like a this was more like a it was just really weird. So that was my sighting with Bigfoot. Now I had a dogman sighting at Daniel Boone National Forest.
Okay.
Yeah. Back in 2014. And the area set up, you have 3 trails. You have a lower trail, middle trail, and a higher trail. The higher you go, the longer the trail is around, and so forth. So we were on the middle trail, and we came around a bend, and we had our headlights on and everything, and we saw a deer. We got the eyes, the deer right there. He looked at us. We looked at him. We stopped. We were just watching the deer. We didn't want to try to spook it. And there was a bush, like he was up against a bush. There was a tree in front of him, and there was a tree in back of him that was right there along the edge of the trail. And yet there was a bushes between the 2 trees where he was. And so when he saw us, he looked at us, and then he went to jump over the bush. Okay, I don't know why he didn't go forward, but he just did this side hop through the bush, which was just kind of odd. And this thing pops up and just grabs the deer. I mean, literally, you saw him where he grabbed it. It was long arms, long fingers. It had a snout, had a high pointed ears, looked like a dog. And it was just, man, boom, grabbed it. And we're like, it scared the crap out of us. We're like, we're not going any further. I'm like, let's go up and see. So we just walked maybe 2 or 3 steps up, and you just heard the screech from this deer.
Yeah.
It's like, man, that's it. That's it. But yeah, it was the weirdest. It was the weirdest thing that I ever saw. And we were there actually doing a Bigfoot investigation.
Mm.
And there was some reports of what they call ghost lights in the forest and stuff, and that was one we were investigating that too. But the Dogman, we never knew there was Dogman in that park whatsoever.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any stories about it at the time. But we know what we saw was not a Bigfoot because it was canine in features, because it had it had the high pointed ears. But we only saw was it would have been its left arm, and we saw the left profile of the head. That's all we saw. Our lights were on it. We were able to hit it. I had the eye shine, because it kind of moved its head, and we ever got the eye shine, but we saw it well enough that it had a snout and high pointed ears. And then that's when I found out, there was a lot of Dogman sightings that took place in that park. And I was still, like I said, I was still doing Dogman research, but I was just there on an invitation to do a Bigfoot investigation and look at the ghost lights in the park. And now the Danbury National Forest, the Native Americans would never step foot in that forest. They always felt that forest was filled with demons, and there just wasn't positive energy in that park. So the Native Americans in that area never went in there. Never went in there. And people who have went in there, 100, 200 years ago, was never ever found again. There was just something about that park. And what was kind of odd about it, the town, which was like close to it, oh God, I can't get the name of the town off the top of my head. I'll think of it here in a minute. But there's a heavy feeling in that area. It's one of these places. Moorhead, Kentucky is where it's over by where it's at. And it's just something odd about it. You feel the heaviness. It's like Point Pleasant, West Virginia. When you go to Point Pleasant, you feel that heavy energy on your body. It was the same thing here. I've never ever felt it anywhere else but those 2 places. Not even at LBL, I never felt it. There, you felt the heavy energy on you, because that whole area, I mean, you've had missing people. There's reports of a UFO that crashed there. NASA put a telescope there, which there was no reason why NASA would put one there, but they put one there. They've had all kinds of just strange, odd stuff going on in that area. And that's, like I said, it just felt really odd to be there.
I mean, cut that tension to the knife.
Yeah. And stuff. Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Wow.
Yeah.
How fast did it grab that?
It's a weird. You know who John Tenney is?
Sounds very familiar.
Yeah. Well,
John Tenney is a. He was on the show Ghost Stalkers.
Okay.
I don't know if you might remember. John Tenney, really knowledgeable guy about secret societies, why conspiracy theories start. These are, every conspiracy theory has truth to it. And he's really knowledgeable about this stuff. He's been on TV, he's been on the whole lecture. And it was funny, we're at, this is kind of, it's actually funny. John Tenney and I were staying out in front of the hotel, and we saw this thing on the road, okay, dark object. And when the cars came up, it moved. Okay, it would go back into the woods, and the cars would pass and would come back out. And we kept watching this, man. It's like, man, there's a Bigfoot or dogman or something there watching. I mean, it's sitting watching us, and when the car comes up, it moves. And we got brave enough to go check it out, and it was a freaking sign. It just it was just covered. It was just dark where you could see it. When the cars came up, the shadow hit it, and the shadow made it look like it moved in. And it's like, man, how stupid do we feel? And we're like sitting there watching this thing, and it's just like, it was so real. But yet, when we found out what it was just, it was funny. And then we start talking about, how many sightings you deal with. That's what it is. Something as simple as that.
Yeah.
Because here we are, two professional,
Right.
researchers, and that fooled us enough that we believed that there was something there watching us, and it was hiding every time the traffic came in. And all it was just a sign telling you to slow down when you came up the hill.
Yeah.
And that, but it made sense because, a lot of sightings are probably like that.
Yeah.
Something very simple,
Simple and explainable, but like you said, you don't realize it till after the fact.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't realize that after the fact, what it is, and it's, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Nick, I think we're running out of time here.
See that? A lot of info.
Jody, I got to tell you, that's just awesome.
Yeah, I have to tell you this. We had here in Ohio, and I'll keep you guys updated on this. A sheriff actually came out and said this attack on a horse was from a non-human animal.
Right.
Oh, wow.
A recent one, right? Yeah.
And he used the term non-human. Now they are bears in that area, but a bear could not have done what it did to this horse. Okay.
Right.
And so I talked with the newspaper that broke the story. They're putting me in contact with the individual that actually did the investigation on the story and talked to the farmer. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be getting all that information where I can, because actually it's like an hour and a half away from me. So once I get the information, get the permission to go out and talk to the farmer and look at the pictures of the damage that this thing tore into the barn, hit the horse, and talk to the sheriff and get his point of what he thinks it is. But like you said, the newspaper told me when I talked to him yesterday rather, when they're going to put me in contact with the person that actually did the investigation itself. Sheriff's Department's kind of locking down on talking about it. So yeah. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Have to keep us updated on that one.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep you guys updated.
Here we go again.
That'd be great.
Hide something about it, and they don't want to talk about it anymore. But Jody, if you finish an investigation on it, if you could publish it, for us, because I've got a lot of my members sending me messages about it, asking what it is. And
yeah, like I said, I'll find out. Like I said, as soon as I talk to the guy that actually went out and talked to the farmer, I'm going to talk to him. See about getting any information, copies of information he did, have him to be the go-between person to talk to the farmer, so I can get out there and talk to the farmer about what's going on, and get out there and actually do an investigation, talk to him. But it seems like the sheriff's department, someone's either locking down the sheriff's department on what's going on, or the sheriff's department is kind of maybe trying to backtrack on what they're saying, because now people are getting interested in the story and so forth. And they're like, okay, we opened up a can of worms here, and we don't need to be dealing with all this monster stuff. Because I'm gonna tell you something. Scioto County and Adams County, they know there's something there. They know there's Bigfoot activity. They know there's dogman activity in that area. It's constant. They know that. And when that sheriff said that this was made by a non-human entity, he knew exactly what did that. That's the thing. He knew what did that.
Well, he made a Freudian slip by saying
Oh, big time.
Animal.
Big time.
Yeah, he did not have to use that phrase, but I think he wanted to put it out there.
Yeah,
that would be great if we
either he put that phrase out there as a Freudian slip, or he put it out there for a purpose.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the two, because that is not how law enforcement works. You do not say something like that, you know, whatsoever. You don't.
Not at all.
You know, and so like I said, he put it out there for a reason, I believe, and like I said, they're not taking any calls, because I called yesterday to the sheriff's department, and you know, they're like, okay, well, we'll pass it on, you know. So, you know, and I don't want to show up there, because if you show up there, you know, you're challenging them, you know. So it's better to talk with them. And so I'm going to put a Freedom of Information Act in to get a copy of the actual police report, you know, from them, to see what's actually in the report. I want to find out if there was a veterinarian involved, and get the veterinarian's report also. But there again, they may not, you know.
Yeah,
but I'll keep you guys posted on that. Hopefully this week I'll know a lot more.
Right.
Great. Yeah, we'd love to have you back on at some point too. That was great.
I'll definitely give you guys an update. Well, Nick knows. As soon as I find out, Nick will know right away. You know,
awesome.
What's going on with that.
Publish it out there and let everybody know, because a lot of people have been asking me, and I kept telling them I'm not boots on the ground here.
Yeah. Well, the thing of it is, you don't want to get boots on the ground until you get the okay to go out there.
Oh yeah.
Okay. On someone's personal property.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, that particular area, you know, you don't do it, because believe it or not, most of those are probably the two most poorest counties in the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
There's people there that don't even have electricity in their home. Okay. And it's not the place you just go and show up and knock on someone's door.
Not at all.
Right.
Okay. No, I know that for a fact. You don't do that out in those two counties, because there's a lot of illegal drug activity going on out there in the woods. There's a lot of illegal animal trade going on out there in the woods and stuff. So you get invited. You don't just show up and out there.
Right. Right.
That one I'll leave to you, boss.
Yeah. We'll keep you posted.
Well, thanks a lot for coming on, Jody. We really appreciate it. It was an honor to have you on.
Got a lot
Appreciate
of that I didn't know before myself.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, not a problem, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And everyone, this has been our premiere episode of Mr. Joedy Cook. Glad to have him on tonight, and we'll be back next week with another great guest. Take it easy, guys. Have a great evening.